Hello everyone, this is the wearer of the Reaper's death mark himself, the Warring Bachelor, aka Non-Luminous Flame, and I'm back to celebrate with you all this National Love Your Red Hair Day, not that I have it, also known as Bonfire Day, a Bonfire Night, Fireworks Night, and Guy Fawkes Day, alright? And, but before I do, shout out to my guy, my twin brother in heaven. He taught me the art of no-spin knife throwing. Very efficient, very effective. And shout out to Hollywood Undead, the band. Go see my video in my playlist that has their song Hollywood Undead, and it's a V for Vendetta music video, which features no-spin throwing knives. Now Americans do take some of our heritage from England, so it's important that we know what went on there so we can keep it from happening again. King James was on our side, and Guy Fawkes was essentially just a domestic terrorist. Now the movie V for Vendetta flips that around to where like, oh, what if it was the other way around? Well, it wasn't, so that's why it's fiction. But okay, I want you all to recall well that I've said before, if we're being honest, that love is the most powerful weapon, alright? Don't forget. And also, be sure and vote, alright? And vote right, because literally and figuratively where it applies in your country, because there are a lot of problems. See my other last two videos, okay? There are a lot of problems that we can solve. One generation, one individual at a time. I'm an individualist, but I'm also part of a group, whether I want to be or not. Alright, if we don't fight for what's ours, we won't have anything. Okay, so vote for government, both small and large. Tedious though it may be, cold outside though it may be, it's worth the effort, okay? So, Guy Fawkes Night, also known as Guy Fawkes Day, Bonfire Night, and Firework Night, that's my favorite. Non-luminous flame, of course, Firework Night, right, and Bonfire Night, that's why I like it, is an annual commemoration observed on November 5th, primarily in Great Britain. Its history begins with the events of November 5th, 1605, when Guy Fawkes, a member of the Gunpowder Plot, was arrested while guarding explosives the plotters had placed beneath the House of Lords. Celebrating the fact that King James I had survived the attempt on his life, people lit bonfires around London. Months later, and months later, introduced the observance of the November 5th Act, which enforced an annual public day of Thanksgiving for the plot's failure, because it would have caused a lot of problems for the individuals, especially the poor people. Within a few decades, Gunpowder Treason Day, as it is known, became the predominant English state commemoration, but it carried strong Protestant religious overtones, and it also became a focus of anti-Catholic sentiment. Puritans delivered sermons regarding the previous dangers of popery, while during increasingly rancorous celebrations, common folk burnt effigies of popular hate figures, such as the Pope, which I also don't agree with the Pope, okay? Because I believe that Catholicism is a mixture of heathen practices and through Christianity, which was just a political move, basically, for old Constantine, who liked to slay his wives when he was done with them. Not good. Okay, so, yes, toward the end of the 18th century, reports appear of children begging for money with effigies of Guy Fawkes, and November 5th gradually became known as Guy Fawkes Day. The mask, the Guy Fawkes mask, that's where I first heard of it. Towns such as Lewis and Guildford were in the 19th century scenes of increasingly violent class-based confrontations, fostering traditions whose towns still celebrate, albeit peaceably. In the 1850s, changing attitudes resulted in the toning down of much of the day's anti-Catholic rhetoric, and the observance of the November 5th Act was repealed in 1859. Eventually, the violence was dealt with, and by the 20th century, Guy Fawkes Day had become an enjoyable social commemoration, although lacking much of its original focus. The present day Guy Fawkes Night is used to celebrate at large organized events displayed on a bonfire and centered on a bonfire and extravagant fireworks displays. One moment. Okay. Settlers exported Guy Fawkes Night to overseas colonies, including some in North America, where it was known as Pope Day. Those festivities died out with the onset of the American Revolution. Claims that Guy Fawkes Night was a Protestant replacement for older customs like Samhain are disputed, although another old celebration, Halloween, has lately increased in popularity. And according to some writers, may threaten the continued observance of November 5th. I doubt that, but we will see. Okay, so the Gunpowder Plot was a failed assassination attempt against King James IV of Scotland and First of England by a group of provincial English Catholics led by Robert Catsbury. The conspirators' aim was to blow up the House of Lords at the state opening of Parliament on November 5th, 1605. While the king and many other important members of the aristocracy and nobility were inside. The conspirators who became most closely associated with the plot in the popular imagination was Guy Fawkes, who had been assigned the task of lighting the fuse to the explosives. Let's see. Okay, there are a lot of representations of Guy Fawkes Night and discussions of it throughout literature, in theater, in music, like the music video that I mentioned. Okay, and there are also a lot of poems, okay? So I'm going to read two that I like, and I will go ahead and get up out of here after that. Let's see. Several traditional rhymes have accompanied the Guy Fawkes Night festivities. God Save the King can be replaced by God Save the Queen, depending on who is on the throne. This one goes, remember, remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Guy Fawkes, 'twas his intent to blow up the king and Parliament. 60 barrels of powder below, poor old England to overthrow. By God's providence he was catched, or by God's mercy, with a dark lantern and a burning match. Holla boys, let the bells ring. Holla boys, God save the king. And what should we do with him? Burn him. In more common use, the bonfire cry is occasionally altered with the last 3 lines after burning match, supplanted by the following. A traitor to the crown by his action, no parliament mercy from any faction. His just end shouldest be grim. What should we do? Burn him. Holla boys, let the bells ring. Holla boys, God save the king. And some of the bonfire societies in the town of Lewis use the second verse reflecting the struggle between Protestants and Roman Catholics. This was widely used due to its anti-Catholic, Roman Catholic tone has fallen out of favor. Remember, remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder treason and plot. I see no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Remember, remember, the 5th of November, gunpowder treason and plot. A stick or a stake for King James' sake, will you please give to us a faggot If you can't give us one, we'll take two. The better for us and the worse for you.